Hey, good afternoon to everybody. Happy Monday. It's Daryl here. It's not so bright and early anymore. It's noon straight up here in Connecticut on the East Coast. You can tell I'm feeling good. I am happy. I'm kind of ecstatic, to tell you the truth. I came across an article and I just had to talk about this. There's an article on TMZ. I'll have the link for you down below, and there's also a video that I'd like you guys to watch. This is about Bam Margera. And the article is that he actually has 1 month clean and sober. And the reason I am so happy is because I truly believe, this is the truth. I from my point of view, he really is clean and sober. I'm going to read to you some of the highlights of this article. And the reason I believe this so much is because it completely mirrors my recovery and the things I was doing and what I was interested in and why I got clean and sober. It mirrors exactly what I was going through when I got clean and sober. For those of you that don't know, I've got coming up on October 23rd in less than a month, I will have 17 years completely clean and sober. I got clean and sober on October 23rd, 2006. And when I read this article, if you guys have been watching my channel, this is what it says in this article is exactly the stuff that I've been saying over and over again about what you need to do, about friends, about exercise and all this other stuff. And this is why I'm so happy for him, because I truly believe that he's on the path to recovery. I'll talk more about relapses. I really don't want to talk about relapses right now. Let me read you the highlights of this article. So he's coming up on 1 month clean and sober. He's hitting the skate park again. And there's a video, I'll link to it down below. It's on TMZ. And he's skating in this park. I guess this is outside. He's staying on a farm outside of Philadelphia with a friend, another professional skateboarder. It doesn't say who this person is, but he's staying on this farm. And there's a couple videos down below. The link will be down below. They'll show him skating. And so he's hitting the skate park, and I'm not a big skater, but it's supposedly he's looking good in these videos. He's the tricks or whatever. He's looks like he's getting it back together. I guess he's staying with his girlfriend Danny on this farm. And here's the thing. This is what makes me smile. He's going to the gym and hiking with his dogs, and there's actually a picture in this article of him skateboarding in the woods, like on a path, like a bike path in the woods with his dogs. It truly makes me happy to see somebody else, finally grab onto it, because the last 17 years have been better than I could have ever imagined, and to see somebody else finally realize that they can get out of the misery, out of this nightmare. I'm getting goosebumps. I can't tell you how happy it makes me. Okay, so like I said, he's going to the gym. He's hiking with his dogs. I'll talk about that more. When I first got clean, like I said, I've said this over and over again. You hear about this moment of clarity, and that's truly what happened to me. Like I continued using, and I got into the MAP program, medically assisted treatment, and I got to a point where I actually felt good, and I realized I didn't need to keep buying these drugs. I kept buying drugs, and I didn't even need them. They were being blocked by the methadone that I was taking. They weren't even doing any good, and I was spending $35, $40 every single day, and just because I was used to doing that. And I got to this moment where I realized I didn't need it anymore, and I actually felt good. And, I'm feeling sociable and motivated, and it's like noon on this one of the days that I got clean, and I wanted to go out and do something. And I went to my local park. There was actually a dam near my house, a state dam, and I went up there. And I went for a hike, and then I enjoyed it so much. For the first day, I went for like a 1 mile walk down the dam and back. Next day, I did it again, and I kept going farther, and I freaking loved it. And then there's railroad tracks near my house too, and I started walking down the railroad tracks. And I started walking in the morning. I started walking in the afternoon. and I started losing weight. And that's the next thing on here. It says Bam has lost a ton of weight, it says. Now, I'm not sure what his weight was up to. To be honest with you guys, it says he lost a ton of weight, and that's why he's been able to skate better, apparently. The same day, so much of this mirrors my own recovery. I got back into surfing. I had gotten to 270 pounds, and I couldn't surf. I didn't have the gas money to go surfing, back when I was using. But once I got clean, I lost weight. I got to the point where my board wouldn't float me anymore. I would have had to get a bigger board if I could have even surfed. There was no point in getting a board. But after I lost the weight, my board would float me again, and I was able to use it. So and then the biking, I went out and bought a mountain bike, and I probably bought I probably bought at least 10 mountain bikes in the last 17 years. Like I said, so much of this mirrors my own recovery. It makes me delighted. I don't know a word that, just to see somebody else, finally get it. Here's the next thing too, and I've talked about this over and over in the last couple of months, especially with Bam. It says he's kept it to a tight circle of positive friends and influences, and I've talked about, if you've been watching my channel, I talk about that all the time. I closed out all the people that I hung with for years, for decades. Even if they a lot of them told me, hey, I got clean too. And I told them, I said, it's nothing against you, but I told them all we had in common was drugs and alcohol. That's all we did, and I told them, no hard feelings. I'm not blaming you, but I can't hang out with you anymore, because they were actually triggers for me, and I ended up ending relationships with all the people that I was hanging out during all the years that I used. And it's hard. That's one of the hardest things for people to do. And I changed my phone number. Whenever anybody came to the house, I would just tell them, I wouldn't even let them in the door. I'd say, I'm clean and sober. And they'd say, me too. And I'd say, well, that's great, but, I'm a different person now. And they'd say, me too. And I'd say, look, I just can't. I can't. All we had in common were the drugs and alcohol, and I wouldn't even let them in the house, and it was hard. And a lot of these people still don't like me, but to be honest, I really couldn't care less. Okay, so it says it's the first time they actually wanted to get sober for himself. And that's another thing, man, like I said, it was this moment of clarity when all of a sudden I realized, like, I felt good. I felt like I didn't need anything. Throughout most of my life, I always felt like I needed something to make me feel this way or that way, like alcohol or uppers or downers or this or that. But all of a sudden, I remember, like I said, this one day, this moment of clarity, I just felt good. I felt like myself, not great, not high, not low, just good. I felt sociable. I felt motivated, like I wanted to do something. Like I said, and that's when I started walking. After I walked for a while, after I started walking more and more, like I was saying, and I started losing weight. I lost a lot of weight. I lost almost 90 pounds, and I've kept that off. And then I wanted to start, then it didn't look right. I started to get like saggy skin and stuff. And I started working out. And I just started with like a 10 pound, 20 pound weight that I had left in my house. And I built it up more and more, and this became my new addiction. This became my new focus. And the more that I focused on making myself healthy, the healthier I wanted to be, the more respect I had for my body. I thought about the stuff that I was putting in my system, what it was actually doing to my heart, what it was actually doing to my brain, the alcohol, what it was doing to my liver, actually reading and seeing. I remember seeing this picture. I swear to God, this picture, and it was of a heart of a person that had passed away from a cocaine overdose. And it had literally, I swear to God, I saw this picture from a medical journal while I was actually in a rehab, and they have blown a hole seriously in the side of the heart, one of the chambers, And the healthier I got, the more I respected my body, the more I liked myself, the more I wanted to take care of myself, the more I liked the people around me, and that's how it started. Like I said, I can't tell you guys how good this makes me feel. And I truly believe this. I believe it without a doubt, because every single thing they talk about in this article, every single thing they talk about, Bam Margera, about the exercise, about the walking, the skateboarding, the circle of friends, doing it for himself, are things that I went through that I could totally relate to. So I completely believe him 100%. I believe this 100%. God bless him, man. I hope once I got that taste, I got it. I said to myself, I could actually do this. It was that, like I said, it was a moment of clarity. I was like, holy crap, I could do this. This is possible. And it felt, I can't tell you guys, it felt like I got my soul back. It felt like it was a second chance at life. And it's never stopped feeling good. Whenever I have a bad day now, I could have the worst day now, and I think back to what my average day was like back when I was using, and it makes my day feel great. No matter how bad a day I have now, it can't come close to the misery and nightmare that I was living in. It's a sure way to make me feel better now is to remember where I came from, where I was at 17 years ago. God bless Bam, man. Like I said, I'm not going to get into the whole relapse thing, because from my point of view, I know there's people in recovery that wouldn't agree with me on this, but I really feel like that relapse is kind of part of recovery. It happens. Because I remember being at this point, like 1 month clean, and those little voices, that voice inside your head is still very loud, and it's still there, no matter how good you're doing, especially in those early, that first month, even that first year, that little voice, that, well, I could do this, you're still, I know I was right on the edge, and that's why you have to be so careful. The people around you, positive mindset, you got to be, you have to realize that you could slip at any time if you don't follow through with what you're supposed to do. Anyway, God bless Bam. I hope he continues on this track. This made my day. All right, the links will be down below. The video will be down below. God bless him. Recovery is possible. Have a good Monday.